The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in absolute chaos. Ambassador Zilthrax of the Venturi Empire slammed 3 of his appendages against the crystalline podium, his bioluminescent skin flickering with distress. 3 solar cycles! He screeched, his translator struggling to capture the panic in his voice. 3 cycles since the humans withdrew, and 17 star systems have already collapsed into anarchy. Anna Chen sat in the observation deck of the human colony ship Perseverance, watching the feed with cold satisfaction. Her dark eyes reflected the holographic display as council members from across the galaxy bickered and blamed each other. Beside her, Scott Morrison leaned back in his chair, arms crossed over his chest. "Think they've figured it out yet?" Scott asked, a bitter smile playing at his lips. "That we were the glue holding their precious galactic civilization together?" Anna shook her head. "They're still too proud to admit it. The humans had joined the Galactic Council 50 years ago, arriving with their characteristic enthusiasm and optimism. They'd been the youngest species to achieve faster-than-light travel, the most adaptable, and, as it turned out, the most indispensable. But the Council had never seen it that way. To the elder races, humans were nothing but useful tools. The Venturi used human engineers to maintain their quantum networks. The crystalline Shartok exploited human mediators to negotiate their endless territorial disputes. The aquatic Keldari relied on human traders to transport goods their species found too cumbersome to handle. And humanity, eager to prove themselves worthy of their seat at the cosmic table, had said yes to everything. "Play back the vote," Anna commanded softly. The hologram shifted, displaying the council chamber from 2 months prior. The Venturi Prime Speaker stood at the center, his voice dripping with disdain as he addressed the human delegation. "The Council has decided," he'd announced, "that humanity's request for protected status for their colony worlds is denied. Furthermore, your species will assume full responsibility for maintaining the Outer Rim security posts without additional resource allocation." Anna remembered sitting in that chamber beside Scott, feeling the weight of generations of human sacrifice pressed down on her shoulders. They'd asked for so little, just basic protections for their most vulnerable settlements. Recognition for the tireless work they'd done for half a century. Instead, they'd been handed more obligations, more demands, more contempt disguised as duty. Scott had been the one to stand that day. She could still hear his voice, calm and measured, as he'd delivered humanity's response. "Then humanity formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately." The chamber had erupted in confusion. The Shartok representative had actually laughed, a sound like shattering glass. "You cannot be serious," she'd said. "You need us more than we need you." But Scott had simply gathered his data tablets, and Anna had risen beside him. Together, they'd walked out of the chamber, and behind them, every human delegate, engineer, mediator, and worker in galactic space had done the same. The exodus had been swift and orderly. Humans were good at logistics. The Council had relied on that. Within 2 weeks, every human presence in alien territory had vanished. The quantum network engineers returned home. The peacekeepers abandoned their posts. The trade routes fell silent, and the galaxy, so confident in its superiority, began to crumble. "Look at this," Scott said, pulling up another feed. The Keldari homeworld flickered on screen, its magnificent underwater cities dark. Their entire power grid was maintained by human contractors. Now they're living in pre-industrial conditions. Anna watched as another report came through. The Shartok crystal forests, where territorial disputes had erupted into open warfare now that human mediators were gone. The Venturi trade empire, strangled by the collapse of transportation networks that humans had operated. The Outer Rim security posts lasted exactly 4 days before raiders overran them, Anna noted, scrolling through intelligence reports. 17 worlds have reported invasion or civil unrest. Ambassador Chen, Commander Morrison. The voice of Captain Williams crackled through their communicators. We're receiving a transmission from the Council. They're requesting dialogue. Anna and Scott exchanged glances. On screen, Anna said. Zilthrax appeared, his proud bearing diminished, his bioluminescence dim with exhaustion. Ambassador Chen, Commander Morrison, he began, and Anna noted the titles he now used, titles the Council had once dismissed as pretentious. The Galactic Council wishes to discuss terms for humanity's return. Terms. Scott's voice was ice. We left because the Council made clear our contributions were worthless. What's changed? The alien ambassador's skin flickered with what might have been shame. We were mistaken. The humans provided services we had taken for granted. Infrastructure maintenance, conflict mediation, logistics coordination. We failed to recognize how fundamental your species had become to galactic stability. Anna leaned forward. And our colony worlds? The protected status you denied? Granted, immediately. Along with full voting rights on all council matters, resource allocation priority, and... Zilthrax paused. A formal apology from each council member species. Reparations, Scott added flatly, for the 50 years of exploitation. Agreed. Anna looked at Scott, seeing her own conflicted feelings reflected in his eyes. They'd proven humanity's worth in the most brutal way possible, by showing the galaxy what life was like without them. But the cost had been steep. People had died in the chaos. Civilizations teetered on the brink. We'll consider it, Anna finally said. But understand this, Ambassador. Humanity isn't returning as your servants. We're returning as equals, with respect, compensation, and guarantees. Or we don't return at all. We understand, Zilthrax said quietly. We understand now what we should have known from the beginning. The galaxy needs humanity. As the transmission ended, Scott stood and walked to the viewport, gazing out at the fleet of human ships stretching into the darkness of space. Think they've really learned? Anna joined him, watching the distant stars. Maybe. Or maybe they just need us too badly to keep treating us like tools. She smiled grimly. Either way, we're never going back to how things were. No, Scott agreed. We're not. Humanity had departed quietly, without threats or violence. They'd simply withdrawn their irreplaceable contributions and let the galaxy learn the hardest lesson of all, that those who serve are not servants, and that taking someone for granted is the surest way to lose them. The Galactic Council had paid the cost, and they would never forget it. End.